Hey, what is up? Back again. So today we're going to be learning Python, and we're going to be learning about Python classes and objects. So let's go ahead and try to get started, and let's get into it. So the way that you create a Python class is you need to have the keyword class in front of whatever your class name you're going to have. So today we're going to be working with vehicles. So we want a class named vehicle, and make sure you put a semicolon at the end, and then anything that comes under the class, it can either be the properties or the methods within the class. So what we got here is we're going to create a property of the vehicle class, and it's going to be doors or door, and then we have 4 doors on this car. Now this is one of the simpler ways that you can create a class in Python, but it's not the preferred method of doing it. And it's also not the best way of doing it. So the best way of actually creating a properties within the vehicle class is using the init function. As you can see here, the init, it is basically kind of like a constructor in other programming languages where you pass in values, or either it has default values available for it. So to really understand Python classes and objects, you will want to use the init function. The init function is always executed when the class is initiated, and then it can also be used to assign values to properties, and then as well as operations and different methods. So let's go ahead and get into it and setting this up. So you want to have the self in the first, and I'll explain why later. And then we're going to have, for this particular vehicle class, we want to have year, a make, and a model. And then make sure you finish it off with the semicolon, or the colon. Say that correctly. And then you have the self dot year equals year, which is, this is what you are passing in. And then you'll have self dot make equals make, and you have self dot model equals model. So the self parameter is a reference to distinguish what objects have access to the class members. So now that we have this created, we want to create an object called car, and make sure it is a part of the vehicle class. And then we, as you can see here, the vehicle, this particular object will need to have a year, a make, and a model. So the year is going to be a 2020, and then the make, we want it to be a Dodge, and then for the model of the car is going to be a Charger. Nice looking car, by the way. So this is what we got so far. As we can see here, we have a class vehicle, and it has an init function that will take these parameters and then set them equal to these values over here. So let's go ahead and try to see if we can get those values out. So we got a car, and we want to get the year out of this. So let's go ahead and try to run this. So Python, and then this was our class, and see what we get back. So as you can see, we got back 2020 right here. So we were able to get the year out from here. Let's do a few more just to get familiar. And now we want to get the make of the car. And then let's go ahead and get the actual name of the car, also the model. And let's go ahead and run this again. As you can see, we got 2020 Dodge Charger. So we also, within the when doing this, we can have object methods. So these are methods that belong to the object itself. So let's go ahead and create one of those. And as you can see here, we just printed out the values that were stored inside of this object, or the information that was stored when we passed this in to the vehicle class. So now we want to take this information here, so it's not just out and about, and we want to display it, have a method that just displays this information, so I'm not, wasting lines of code repeatedly. I can just create a method that does that. So whenever you're using the object methods, you got to make sure you pass in this. You have to use the self dot. So self dot year. This only refers to this method right here, or this object right here, excuse me. And then we're going to do self dot make, and then we're going to do self dot model. Now we can get rid of these, and now once we give this, basically the init, these values or parameters, now all we have to do is just say car dot display car info. And as you can see, we got the same thing by now just calling the method. And then you can also modify the values inside of the, after I've already passed 2020, say we don't want a 2020, maybe we want to go and get a 2021. So I can now do this and do 2021, and then I will display it again, and you can see the difference between the values. Let me clear the terminal out just so you can, so it's not cluttered. Just run this again. And as you can see, we had 2020 Dodge Charger, and then we changed our mind and said we wanted a 2021 Dodge Charger. So that's a few different things you can do with classes and objects. This is just a quick tutorial just to give you the bare basics of some of the different things you can do with classes and objects. So that is pretty much it. Stay tuned for more tutorials, and I'll keep you guys posted, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.